This will tell me if Tom set it up right. He did. Okay. The pre-show has started.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Think Twice Radio.
Hi there, Think Twice Radio. This is John.
And Matt. And this is the pre-show. The show before the show.
Yeah. And who knows, a little crazy thing. Maybe we might knock over some water or something because something crazy's going off.
Yeah.
We might let off a swear.
I just want to adjust your irises.
Our irises are being adjusted. Some technical considerations.
Okay, first Matt.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. I'm going to
A
share.
natural hue.
Okay. I just shared mine to Facebook. All right.
Good, you're shared up.
Hey there.
Hey.
Hey, Facebook friends.
Friends and confidants.
Yeah.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. It's
Yes. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you.
luck of the Irish.
Yeah.
Do you believe in leprechauns?
I want to believe in fairy folk.
Yeah. What do you think? Where do you think the leprechaun myth comes from?
Irish, like it was Irish folklore. It was like spiritualism. It's like it became like fairy folk. Like if you ever visit Ireland, part of my brain was like, yeah, I could see little fairies living in the little weeds and the mosses and things. And
One of my fondest memories, I think, when I was in Ireland, is I was in a pub and there's just this group of three, like 95-year-old men, like very
Yeah.
old but very small.
well,
And yeah, they spoke very Gaelic, I don't know, Irish. And by the time a couple hours there, and they were so drunk that they were speaking in English, but they were gibbering, and it sounded like a completely different language, and it was very interesting.
Shall I start the show?
yeah.
Yeah, we can start.
Yeah.
Okay, when the timer says on the air, you're on the air, okay?
Okay. Hello, Think
Hello.
Twice Radio, and welcome to another episode of Smalltalk with Matt and John.
I'm John.
And I'm Matt, and this is our show.
Yeah. Welcome. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Let
Yeah.
the luck of the Irish be with you.
Yeah. The luck of the Irish.
It's the best time of the year, but it's the beginning of spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Irish joy is filling the air.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just, it's very nice. It's nice to be Irish. The Irish really get it around, and so a lot of people have the Irish blood in them.
Yeah, I'm curious what type of Irish folklore stories did you hear? Did you ever hear growing up any of the Irish folklore or stories of Irish family?
Folklore? Only that that Catholics had even more kids.
I see.
Ma was light on the folklore,
Okay.
but it was always like, hey, we are Irish, and
Yeah, how was your Irish heritage? How was that communicated to you as a descendant?
well, gee, luckily, okay, my mother's very nice and kind. And when she went to Ireland, she just loved the fact that everyone was nice and kind. It blew her away to be in a country of people where, like, she associated with, like, everyone was like just kind. There are, we've both been there. They're on a different wavelength. They're good with literature. I like the fact that we were not bigots. We have empathy toward other oppressed people,
Yeah.
other revolutionary people.
I was just reading a book today about the Irish. It was Against the Grain, so it was about the Irish people inhabiting the Old First Ward. So it was talking about that, which just got me very interested because it was talking about how I don't know. Do you know anything about our family or when they came over or how they or? I'm just trying to track our lineage back to the motherland.
Okay, she's she's associated with the Quins and the Clooney's.
Okay.
There were Quins. There was a group of people called the Quins. I know one of our relatives was a horrible alcoholic.
Yeah, one was like decapitated on a rail track somewhere on Seneca Street. They were walking from work and they got maimed by a rail line.
Wow, I did not know that. Your mom's more up on that stuff.
And there was a young
very
child that was I guess maimed by a milk truck or something on Elk Street.
I do remember that. Well, we have an Italian relative who died in an incredibly Italian way. Do you know that?
No.
Basically, she had her kid, and a piece of there was an earthquake, and a piece of the church fell on her and killed her. That's like the most, other than being assassinated in a barber shop.
I guess I don't know. I know my mother's researched it, but I couldn't articulate our Irish. I don't know how grandma's or your mom's Irish heritage came over here because I guess the book I was reading about was talking about the Irish famine when went back to 1845 to 1847, where and essentially talking about how the Irish people were the debris of Ireland. So the people coming over were very the Irish were considered the poorest of the poor and lazy and
we were not the top of the. You would have think we would have almost taken over Europe, but it just didn't work out that way. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about lots of the people were potato peasants essentially, and then when there was a drought,
then you're effed. That's why you don't if you're a new ethnic group out there, you don't want to have one food group that you just eat because.
Well, then the book was talking about how essentially that process essentially scarred mentally a lot of the people, the first residents of the Old First Order, even the second or third generations that were here because they were detached from their homeland. And you had the alcoholism, and I guess the culture of thrift is a very culturally relevant thing to the Irish. I think maybe that's where a little bit of the hoarding comes in.
I think, Matt, you're probably way more thrifty than I am.
Well, yeah, I like that, and I like the idea of I like that. Thrift is I think a good trade.
Now I am out of my mind when it comes to thrift. Like there's things I keep objects and things, and to the point of being insane. It's an Irish.
We are kind of like chipmunks in a way of how we just collect things and store things in our once you get a domain.
And we have that stuff. We have it. So
you save it for a better time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So did you really identify with your Irish heritage, or just something you knew? Grandma talked about.
I definitely do. I associate my political leanings with Ireland, with being Irish. Though, talking to my Italian aunt. She was just as political as Ma was, just as like a little firebrand, like exactly Italian. So the Italian side of the family, we were very similar in that way. So I like that, but in my mind, I think there is a 500-pound Irish gorilla that I try to keep in check sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think it's a very interesting. And I was talking about how we can't. Irish people came over on they called them coffin ships. So the people that were coming over were like packed and. Just reminded me of reading about slave ships, the same way they just packed Irish people in there. Yeah. So it was very similar of their voyage, and I guess people when they left Ireland, they did whole ceremonies because they kind of knew that if they left their homeland, you were kind of.
That's tricky. You would never see those people again. It wasn't like here where you come back and forth and
So actually, I mean, we kind of know that this happened, but what would that actually? I don't know what was it? Would that actually be like to be part of this Irish lineage? For millennia, and then you make the decision you're going to leave the homeland because you have to.
Yeah.
So that'd be very interesting. I don't know. And then just going somewhere completely new.
Like we're going to I say I'm leaving America and never gonna see anybody again, and that's it. Or
So it's just interesting of the psyche of that. And ultimately the whole economy of the grain silos in the first war that. That's not here anymore. So it's just very interesting that was you came over and you just got a job at a grain factory and just worked 7 days a week. In a grain factory.
But also like pre-World War II, life was terrible. It was.
That's not that long ago. And the life.
Yeah.
Just how much harder life was. Where now it's very.
Yeah.
We're very comfortable in our modern. Modern lifestyle.
Modern life with modern medicine and stuff, and but the same thing. Catholics would do, they'd have tons of kids, Oh, thank you, Richard. Thanks.
This fits with our. I don't know where the scars coming, but we're having. Thank you, Richard, for our servings of hors d'oeuvres and the raisins and edamame. That together is a very surprising combination.
Holy,
Which kind of comes back to the topic of you want to talk about the Black Panthers, but actually Irish people and the African American diaspora, those two cultures have a lot of there's like a lot of crossover between. I think there's lots of types of music and dancing that
like tap dancing, for instance, came when black slaves came into the cities in New York City, and they would see the Irish doing their little jig, and they would incorporate that into their culture into tap dancing. Now, okay, honestly. We didn't always get along that great, there were riots, horrible things happen, Like I would say, like we're, our parents weren't bigot, but some of the Irish we're not so nice there. But we were always put in the same categories. The thought process was, hey, a slave is important. You don't want to kill the slave. Whereas an Irish person, you can work them to death because there's always another Irish.
Well, but that's what was interesting of reading this book is how in the famine, right when the Irish were essentially like potato slaves, and when they started not producing their crop, there was this Irish or English author that was talking about the Irish are a lazy and stupid race, so kind of referring to like the Irish people as a race of people.
What the heck, stupid?
It's interesting, that just kind of that right, just a common lower class slur, but the Irish were considered a race, whereas now. We just have whites, but like back then, I was talking about how you'd Irish, German, and there's different ethnicities of white.
And if you see the cartoons, the way the Irish were depicted back then, it's similar to the way African Americans were depicted in cartoon form. You can see the thought process of the majority Caucasian ruling class was toward Irish. Now, but let's not distract though. I would say the black people had it way worse. We came in boats. At least we were able to stand up in the boats. Whereas black people came under chained, in chains, actual chains.
Yeah, so I'm just interested about these coffin ships. What was that like? What was the voyage from Ireland to the U.S. like?
A lot of people get close to each other, touching
each
other.
It was a 7-week venture, so you were just suffering a potato famine, so you're already in the state of a mid-famine, then you have to endure a 7-week voyage.
There's diseases.
On a ship with other people that are.
Yeah. They all talk like this. Everybody's, they probably get on each other's nerves and stuff, and breathing on each other and, salivating. So
1845. It was like, what was that like?
Yeah. But let's move on. But it also had a lot of them. They were revolutionary. There was, there were fighters and stuff, which brings us to our one subject, the Black Panthers.
Yeah, because didn't Ireland have a similar, like the Irish Rebellion Army or something? That's I think of the Black Panthers just a radical 60s group, so probably a radical left.
They were in 1966, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale got, after the death of of Malcolm X, who they admired, got together, and there had already been books, a book published by an NAACP guy called like Blacks with Guns, and this idea, especially people in the South, is like it's your right to use guns for self-defense, and they were keen on that, and it was necessary at the time. And I mean, I'm not a gun guy, but at every time. And if these were white guys, people they would be like big heroes for like using guns to defend their freedom and their rights. But they were everything they did. They followed the law. They read the law. These were very highly intelligent people. Huey Newton, for instance, he grew up. He was functioning illiterate when he was a kid, and because of the way his teaching, and one of his like professors said, "Hey, you're a black kid. You're never going to achieve anything." And one of the things he did, like Teddy Roosevelt, he willed himself. He educated himself. He learned how to read and how to debate. And he became a professor. He wrote books. His first book was Plato's Republic. He read it back to front and memorized it. And he went from being he knew, and he did it out of revolutionary love and zeal. And so he was very effective in learning about the law. And one of the first things the Panthers did is they had armed patrols where they would monitor the police, which is very disturbing to police. But it was if you were at that time, it was
this was the 60s, right? The late 60s.
This was the 60s. This is something that kind of
feels like we're kind of re-entering the 60s, like the new version of the 60s, which is the 20s.
Are we? Anyway, yeah. I mean, we could be going back to that, and now there's a lot of things about them I find very I don't like, but I could see at the time they were Marxist-Leninists, and they were nationalists. They were separatists. So these are all the things
so they wanted to separate from the U.S.
Yeah, but I could see if you were in that environment why you would want that. Given generations of horrible treatment of being murdered by the police, and being treated unfairly, and they wanted some. They put out a 10-point plan, and they wanted bread. They wanted to free black people from prisons. They wanted to didn't want black people to serve in the military. Like they said at the time, they didn't want to be forced to go to other countries to fight other people of color for.
So it's really
what they call imperialists.
an anti-Vietnam kind of movement a bit. Which
Definitely, and also more than anything, they were they're pro Ho Chi Minh. They were inspired by the words of Ho Chi Minh. They also
what was Ho Chi Minh talking about?
one of the things that Ho Chi Minh said, I from studying other radicals, one of the things he said is release the dragon of society, which is use the criminal element to fight your revolution. And unfortunately, a lot of the 60s radicals did that, and that's kind of the way the Panthers went. But remember this too: they did go that way. But also the FBI also set them up. Okay,
I'm sure. Yeah, the intelligence were probably trying to infiltrate their gang.
One of the things, the guy, what's the name of that maniac who he was? Herbert Hoover.
Herbert Hoover.
Basically, he was his own dictator. He basically ruled the FBI, and he did all sorts of crazy shit. Like you wouldn't believe it. Like,
but even somebody with just the recent political events was talking about how you can maybe think about the death of the country was like the death of JFK. So it's just crazy that we had this decade where the FBI, CIA was maybe were they right? Did they take out JFK?
This is the thing. Their JFK was Malcolm X, and he died. It was an inner struggle. But eventually, at some point, JFK did die. I don't know if that influenced.
That's not just an interesting decade that you just had all these people at the same time, different types of movements were just all being assassinated.
But I'd say one thing, the FBI was definitely pulling shit, and also they would get members of the own Black Panther community to fight each other and to fight other groups. They had a thing called COINTELPRO, and they would do a thing called bad jacketing. They might send letters to somebody saying, your wife is cheating on you with the leader of this other cell. Or give a phone call. Hey, this guy, this guy's sort of
agitating a bit.
And they put people in to be like, hey, fellas, let's go commit a crime. Let's go beat up those whiteys. And they would actually do crimes. So they did lawfare on them. They did all these other things. So
to suppress their movement.
Suppress their movement. But the thing is, though, they got in genuine gun battles with other people, and were involved in killings. And they did get genuinely paranoid. One of the downfalls of them is they killed they tortured one of their own members because they thought he was an FBI informant.
Yeah.
So they weren't exactly saints. But you gotta say they had great social programs too. They had breakfast.
They wanted bread.
They did. One of their programs was breakfast for kids. They provide free breakfast for people. That got the FBI really concerned because those things they would help older people go. They would drive them to get their meds, to pick up their paychecks. They would they taught the youth. They teach them how to be proud black kids and to learn and study, and they also did medical stuff. They would have this was like in the city, and nobody was doing anything for inner city people back then, and this was a big threat to the government, and the amount eventually too. Not only did the government and also they would arrest people here and there. There were shootouts. There were like 29 Panthers were shot in like little incidences. But on one hand too, they were able to use this. Huey Newton. Okay, one of the main figures. He got involved in a tussle with police. This would never happen today. You get in a tussle and a police guy was dead. He was shot. So they arrested him. The weird thing is he said they were both shot, but Huey didn't have a gun. It was a very weird thing. Like he passed out. Huey said he passed out. the cop was thoroughly corrupt, and there was this big free Huey Newton where like if you go back in the '60s, like there'd be like
Free Huey Newton movements.
there would be like songs and singers. I think even the Beatles like
Yeah, but I can't wait for the folk music to come to our new era of the new 60s.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll just start getting preemptive, folk art
yeah.
popping up.
Yeah, but it's only and then things with this got a lot of attention from the hippies to the Panthers, and the Panthers. This is the thing, Panthers were cool. They were like they would wear these black leather jackets and like black. They grow their hair up
Mutton
and
chops.
and they were impressive. They would and they would do things in a military style. So people were like really like, oh, these guys are something going on. So this Huey Newton, they did free Huey because he was so popular, which is insane when you think of a cop shooting now.
Yeah.
And this is like, guys, okay, you want to be charismatic fellas out there? Okay, listen to me. He comes out, Huey Newton, he's giving a speech. He was in prison for like 2 years. He comes out, and he rips his shirt off, and he looks like Thor. Huey Newton, and you could just imagine like how popular this guy would be because he was like he was like this Adonis. He was a very intelligent guy, just got out of prison, and he's like just this like Greek god in buff shape,
Like a superhero.
Yeah, so he was. You gotta say this guy, and he was a brilliant guy, but these guys were okay. They were tricked, but they were flawed. He definitely one of the things he eventually when things broke up, he eventually shot a prostitute, an underage prostitute, for an insult, a minor insult. He was addicted to crack, and he eventually was killed by a member of the Black Guerrilla
Wow,
movement.
there's probably competing factions.
Which I'm like, oh, geez. Yeah, you don't even want to hear.
What were the other?
Don't want to hear about the Black Bonobo movement at all. No, I'm
Yeah,
only
it
kidding.
just makes you wonder. Yeah, history. There's probably a bunch of radical movements that you don't really know about.
Yeah, there was one. There's the Dashiki guys. The guys who came up with Kwanzaa. They got in a battle with them. I think they were called the Us Movement. But they were basically FBI turned them on each other because he didn't want them to unite. The one thing that Hoover was afraid of was the idea of a black messiah, and which is as a Caucasian, you're like, oh shit, black messiah,
Like a black wasn't. They don't even know if maybe Jesus was black.
I think it would be nice to have a black messiah, like but an actual Jesus. I would like that. A nice black guy who's like actual Jesus. But they were afraid that there'd be a mean black messiah guy.
I'm interested in Irish folklore. And we say the leprechauns are a part of Irish folklore. We have some comments here. Someone's saying that your scarf is the Royal Stuart Tartan, one of the most common scarves in all of Scotland.
It is true. It is true.
And you have a comment. Looks like he co-founded the Black Panther.
They were Marxists. They were Marxists.
Because I hear that term get thrown around. What does the term Marxist?
Marxist
or Leninist?
Leninist. That's full like you take over the companies and they're all owned by the people. Everything is owned by the government.
By the government.
Now I disagree.
That sounds terrible.
I don't like that. I've argued with people because I know I've met naive people. I have to talk to them. But anyway, they were Marxist Leninists. Now they did start to diverge though. It was Eldridge Cleaver. That guy was kind of I'll tell you about
These
it.
people had cool names.
Eldridge Cleaver.
Cleaver. And
he's another guy who could only come out of the 70s. He's a guy, he wrote a book in prison called Soul on Ice. Only in the 60s and 70s would he become popular because he was a rapist. But he wrote very eloquently but very forcefully and very charismatically. He was more communist than, say, Huey was, and they eventually split. He wanted guerrilla warfare. He had to flee to Algeria, which is very interesting because he got in a gun battle.
Just think of all the minor side quests in the 60s of just random people starting. Anyone who's really trying to start a movement. There's almost a competition, but some got more coverage or
Definitely, yeah. There was the Black Panthers. There was Weathermen. There was Oh, the Symbionese Liberation Army. We talked about that.
Yeah, I like talking about radicals and whatnot.
Yeah,
I know somebody that I've been looking into recently had their birth and anniversary or death anniversary was Taras Yevchenko from Ukraine. He was a Ukrainian poet, painter.
Oh, okay.
And he was just a pure poet, painter, but his art was so provoking that he got sent to Siberia.
Oh,
And he was actually outlawed from producing art.
See,
and
that's one of the
painting.
reasons
It's like,
I'm against communism. People like me
Yeah.
get screwed.
Well, it's just interesting. Of like, imagine being so good at your art that you get imprisoned or prevented from doing art and sent to Siberia.
Yeah, and eventually, Eldridge Cleaver, he went to Korea, and because he was a big fan, he was like he was obsessed with the North Korean leader to a point where he was annoying the Panthers because he would send back these crazy doctrines, but he got to Korea and he got disheartened. He was like, "Oh, this is what communism really is." He was like, "These people are nuts," and he actually saw. He said like in Korea, that's they were lobotomizing people in North Korea. They were really, and he did. Eldridge Cleaver, he did have a change of mind. He became a fan of Ronald Reagan. He became a Republican eventually.
Interesting. So he was politically fluid. Evolved over the decades.
Oh, here's a fun story. Oh, he has a lot of fun stories, Eldridge Cleaver. One story, he discovered Jesus.
Oh.
Because he was looking at the moon one night. And in the moon, he saw the face of Lenin and Marx. And then it was obscured, and then he saw the face of Jesus. So he switched to Jesus.
Yeah, what did the Lenin Marxists? Or it's just interesting that you hit all over the world, right in Vietnam, and I'm even with the current war we're finding ourselves in, like just trying to think how this all is all connected, right? Vietnam's connected to then Iraq, Afghanistan, all these side quests we've been in are all kind of related.
And we haven't learned. The thing is, the frustrating thing, we didn't learn from, like, we lived through the Iraq War. We should have been like, oh, shit, that was stupid.
Yeah, what was what was the kind of Iraq war about? I mean, I think, and I'm even trying to re-examine my own understanding of what all these ventures were actually about.
Now, Afghanistan, I understand Afghanistan. I understand. That was where bin Laden was. That's where he was. I understand going everywhere. George Bush wanted, that administration wanted Saddam. It was a personal thing, I think, with
in
the
Iraq.
Bushes. In Iraq, rather.
Because now with this current war in Iran, I'm trying to think through like, oh, we actually made Iraq fail. So what was Iraq's role? And I don't know. Really trying to understand the Middle East. And I feel like I somewhat understand it, but even then I'm trying to read about, what's Iraq versus Iran? How do all these groups piece together?
Every administration has its own policy. And the one policy, in the Eisenhower days, they overthrew the Shah. And I think even Kennedy, they overthrew the Shah. They overthrew a democratic government, replaced it with a Shah who was like a horrible person. Then the mullahs took, or the Ayatollahs took over, and then they hated the United States because we overthrew them. They were democracy. We overthrew them. We were bad guys. So, but then with Iraq, that was a whole other deal. George Bush Sr., he was criticized for not attacking.
It's just crazy. Our whole foreign policy is so focused on the Middle East, and I'm still even so ignorant to all the different factions. You hope, and I think it's a wishful thing at this point, but you hope that people at the highest levels of government were like considering, and like what are the cultures of these people, and how will these decisions, what are potential side effects of how these people react? Because it even seems like Iran's a kind of somewhat Iraq and just a collection of kind of different tribal regions that are stitched together, and there's no kind of central leader.
Well, what's slowly being revealed to me too is, I think the United States has been compromised for decades by Israel. It seems like they have had shit on our politicians to where, I think, well, it's always going to be in the background, and
but now it's starting to think that why are we doing this? Whose best interest is this in, and how did we? What's going on with Israel? And how do they kind of? Why is our military? Well, then even the other thing, I don't know if you've heard about this YouTuber called Professor Zhang. He's this guy.
Oh, he's a doomer for us. He says we're doom, right?
He's more just kind of, he does predictive history, but he's kind of talking about, he's kind of not narrating, but he's analyzing what's going on. He's talking about how our whole military, right? We know our military industrial complex is deeply corrupt.
Yeah.
But we kind of just assume that the weapons we're making must be good. So he's talking about how essentially because the United States military was developed when we had the Soviets.
Yeah.
And since both states had nuclear weapons, it was really about pumping your chest up, and he calls about
Yeah.
military doctrine, which is shock and awe.
Yeah.
So really make you big and intimidating. But he talks about how our military is not actually right. It's so corrupt, but at the same time, we're not really equipped for modern warfare. Which is
This is the thing. I think we're still a big, huge monster militarily.
well, yeah, we are for sure. But at the same time,
Yeah.
now I think we're kind of exposing that. Oh, this bully's not as
Yeah.
nasty and scary as especially now that we're still fighting a war in Ukraine. We're fighting a war in the Middle East. So the more, the Venezuela. So the more kind of actions you have around the world, right? The more spread out we become.
What scares me, Che Guevara said this. He said, if you want to get rid of the United States, you can't defeat it with one Vietnam. You need one Vietnam, two Vietnams, three Vietnams, four Vietnams to basically really screw us up. But because of Daddy Donald, we're kind of getting there. We're involved in Venezuela. He wants to go to Cuba. We're in Iran, which I can see the swirling around like.
Well, yeah, now that's having side effects too. But the point of when the American military is spread out against all these different conflicts, and all these conflicts are not popular, so you're actually right. We're also fighting a type of civil war here internally. It's like we are really what's going on here because
it's very disheartening.
It feels like to me I don't know when historians when they look back at this era, right? I think when we learn about World War I, it's like, oh, that one was it Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. That was the start of the war. It's like, that's the historians feel, but did the people, right? A day after the assassination of that people, did people like all the chips hadn't moved? So now I'm trying to think about, will people think of the taking out of Hatola? Is that the start of the World War III, or was it the Russian invasion of Ukraine, or was it the October 7th? So it's like we're in this. It feels like we're slowly
Are you
into this.
And also, is this all because of Trump? Because to me, Trump is we created him. We half of our country thinks like that and wants simple. He wants Mr. Simple to be their daddy, and they want Mr. Simple, bully president, to do everything simple and and they don't like the hysterical, bespectacled liberal telling them what to do.
I saw someone else going to line that was good. Is it's true, right? Trump is he's now sits at the head of this machine, but this machine has roots that go back to. He was making the argument that the machine he's sitting on top of was actually created after the assassination of JFK, and kind of now you have Trump who's at the head of this machine, which is goes back to. So his question is, will historians view the death of JFK as kind of the start of this Israeli type of controlled U.S. state that doesn't really We've been selling out the American people for decades here.
The creepy thing is, some of this might not be known. It might be I put because I'm getting more Epstein pilled, but it seems obvious he was doing stuff for a long time on behalf of the Israel government.
Yeah, I think that the common kind of thought seems to be that Epstein was part of some Israeli intelligence thing. So it's what was that about? And I think that's the Epstein thing is a huge thing, but I think kind of even the mainstream is getting really focused on Donald Trump's involvement, which he was involved, but it actually kind of takes away from the fact that Epstein was part of this much larger. Trump was just one cog in this giant machine.
They probably had something on Clinton. It probably goes back, and even before that, there's preachers, evangelical preachers will tell you, oh, Israel has to get their land back, and then Jesus will come. Well, where did those ideas come from?
Well, then, some of the people on YouTube, they're talking about, just the whole, the actual people running Israel and what some of, the right wing of Israel, what some of those people think. And it's like, whoa, that's really scary. And then, Mike Huckabee is, on there. Yeah. So part of it is there are actually people that want to create. Yeah, and part of it is Israel wants to create they want to control the entire Middle East, which is kind of.
And they were saying that there are military. They're getting complaints in the military that there's military leaders going in front of their troops, going, you're going to be involved in this war that's defined by God. And they're using heavily religious ideas about the conflict in Iran, which is I don't think the founding fathers wanted that, It sounds cool, but
no, it sounds absolutely insane though. At the same time, then you think,
But anyway, okay. So speaking of the FBI invading, one of the things they eventually did, Fred Hampton, they basically assassinated him. The police burst into his house. He was asleep, and they just barraged him with bullets. It was like they tried to kind of almost make it seem legitimate, but it was so obvious. It was just a political assassination of Fred Hampton, a guy who they thought would be the Black Messiah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right. Um. But like I say, but
Then I also think part of the conflict is, right, the U.S. reserve currency and the fact that, the U.S., military state wants to control, global trade, and that they want our dollar to be powerful and our powers. Essentially, right, it's tied to kind of all the oil that comes out of the Middle East and kind of controlling that or having a say.
Yeah. But
which is insane because I think people have been saying too that the world order that we've been living under after World War II is done. It's over. We're building something new. So it's kind of seems like, right, the American military wants to kind of keep the status quo, but it kind of doesn't exist anymore. So we're kind of fighting. I don't know. It's just very the times are changing, as Bob Dylan
But I would
said.
say though, people think, it's Donald Trump is going to do everything he can to undermine the United States keeping like our currency is number one. Like I see him being the guy who just turns everything, turns all the tables over. I don't see I don't see him being part of doing anything good for coming back to us.
Well, that's where it's ultimately. I think people are questioning is how does this benefit America, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, starting a war in the Middle East benefits Israel, but how is this much different than I think what a lot of people thought when they elected Trump is how is this put America first? How is another potentially endless war in the Middle East? How does that help our economy? Because it seems like it would be great if America has a chance to potentially pivot, right, and create just a new way of being, but we seem so connected to the old way, and it's how is this better? Especially, right, our economy can't really handle more expensive gasoline and oil when it touches every part of the economy.
Yeah, and it's but it's just like I remember saying this when Trump was elected for the second time, just thinking I don't want to go through the years or months for everyone to learn why he was bad. For them to, because a lot of people have to personally, they have to touch the stove, feel it burning for quite a bit for them to realize, that's why the people, what do they call us? Trump derangement syndrome people, why they're upset. For them to finally figure out, But the thing is, it's like, okay, we're going to have to, I don't like paying for gas, but I don't like all the death and destruction.
Yeah. It seems like people, Americans were very sick of these endless wars. I know. Yeah. My whole adult life, we've been in these conflicts in the Middle East, it doesn't seem how that helps the American people.
Yeah. I felt when the Afghanistan was over, I was like, oh, good. I thought, oh, wow.
Well, then right there, even there was that footage on TV of us just abandoning Afghanistan that was recently. I still think about, well, what happened to all those weapons that we just left there? How are those being used in this current global conflict?
I would say this. I'd say this. I tell a person, don't worry about them. Because this is the thing. Those things, they take a lot of maintenance. There's and also, the soldiers didn't just drop their weapons and run away. Like our allies had weapons. They basically take those things apart before they leave them. And
some of the bomb, I just curious. I would have thought that you would have had Iran and Russia and Afghanistan. All those people would have just started selling that all globally, and you'd have. I don't know. It just makes me wonder. What happened to all that stuff we left there?
I think that's all. You have to repair that stuff. A lot of the more sophisticated
a lot of it
stuff.
You can kind of reverse engineer it and build it, or figure out how it works, and that's why even talk of a ground invasion to Iran just seems insane to me, especially with their geography is the same thing in Afghanistan. It's a bunch of caves and deserts. It's like we're going to send ground troops in there. That's insane to me.
And the thing is, they can always own that Strait of Hormuz because they have those cheap drones that they can have those anywhere in the country and just shut down that strait and it.
Well, that I think comes back to my I worry about we're a bully who's we've overestimated, right? We have this whole shock and awe military doctrine
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we're
we're
big
good
and
at that.
powerful, but
Yeah.
if we can engage, right, especially with the China, how they can manufacture, if we get involved in some war where China just turns their entire
Making a cheap
manufacturing
drone?
into making drones for Iran, it's like, how are we supposed to compete with that? We can't compete with that. And
mean-
we're so used to being the superpower. It's like, I don't know.
But I mean, we voted the wrong way. I mean, Americans. Well, a couple years ago, there was a case where there was a boat, a ferry. I don't even remember. I may have mentioned this before, and it sank. Now it had you can only have 100 people on this ferry. It had 100 people on the ferry, but what happened is Americans got so much fatter, so it sank because Americans were just fatter. I'm afraid, and so the ferry failed. I'm afraid that we're too stupid
Yeah.
to
Stupid
govern
fat,
ourselves.
but then also divided, right? So
And
we're
divided.
internally divided,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it just seems very. I don't know. It doesn't look good, and I think Professor Zhang, he talks about too. Just we're an empire. We're acting how empires act. That we can't accept that the world's changing, and we're going out with a bang, and it's we're just not really prepared because I think people are very, I don't know, especially our whole economy. I think rising gas prices, people are struggling, and we don't make anything here anymore. And that's a decades old decision made by our leaders to send manufacturing overseas to China.
I feel bad. I feel bad for the people who didn't vote for this. But it's it's sad that we did this to ourselves. And I mean, what about the kid? The thing is, things could have been so much better. We could have inherited better economy.
That's the thing, and this ultimately, something else is that it goes back to JFK. After World War II, we controlled the world, and it didn't need to be this way. But we have decades and decades of decision making, as JFK said, the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
And I think even in my time, America voted for Obama on the left, hope and change.
Yeah.
He ascended to the machine, lead the machine, nothing changed. And then they swung right, voted for Trump, make America great.
Yeah.
Put him at the head of the machine, the same thing. So it's kind of like, we're at this point of like, both sides can't do anything.
But I'll tell you this. Sometimes we wouldn't be at war. We never would have been at war with Iraq if the Democrats won. We never would have been at war with Iran if the Democrats won. Those were choices by the Republican Party. They, like maybe they would, they didn't change it enough. They didn't do good enough a job fixing the things that the Republicans did. But
well, and ultimately, that's some right wing commentators are saying. It was actually Joe Biden's restraint that was preventing us from, because they were talking about how Israel was trying to bait Joe Biden to attack Iran, and ultimately it was the Democrats who didn't take the bait. So it's kind of
they were saying they were pissed. Like Obama put in a deal. It wasn't a perfect deal. With Iran, and they just trashed it. They just fuck that.
Well,
Obama was weak, and they had to make
that's
it
what
look
seems
like a
like
piece
part
of
of
shit.
this. But the thinking of that, we're just going to take out the Ayatollah, and then they're going to collapse. Versus now they have no reason to negotiate us. Now they really you've installed this new regime that could potentially be way more pro nuclear.
We could have done it smarter. Maybe we couldn't have done it smarter. That's the
Do
thing.
you think this is our Irish genetics? Like, why are we so? A lot of people don't care about politics, but is it part of the Irish diaspora of thinking in politics and feeling politics?
I would, maybe.
Because even Grandma, she was super into politics. So
She
it's like-
definitely was. I get that from her because she was.
my mom was apolitical, but then as soon as his grandma died, it's almost like that spirit just transmuted to her. So
I noticed.
wonder if it's something of part of our
I know. Yeah, you guys were. Kind of like middle of the road.
And Grandma was always talking about politics. I'm
Yes,
just
she was.
wondering how.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of family energy that can't be destroyed?
Well, she would hate watch Fox News.
I think it's interesting. I enjoy watching Fox things too, just because I want to understand what people, and I think that's part of the interesting part of this moment is right back in World War II or all these wars, Vietnam, you had Channel 247. Those were the means of communications. Where now your view of this conflict in Iran is completely dependent on what what news source you're getting from. If you're watching Fox, and I have friends that watch Fox, they're like, they think it's, what we're doing there is good. If you're watching liberal outlets, you think it's terrible. And then I'm watching Professor Zhang on YouTube, and I'm getting this very nuanced geopolitical perspective. So it's just very crazy, and it all influences how you see it. It's like, again, to the point of what is the truth? I don't know. There's so much. There is no, common narrative online.
Yeah, that is, that's a sad thing. Like, there didn't used to be, but the thing is, like the back when they had only the 3 stations. They would kind of have a consensus. I don't know. It wasn't like they weren't.
Well, they didn't. I think that's part of the current moment. People probably realized that was a very specific perspective that wasn't completely truthful. So, but now, I got to imagine it was a very it was peaceful too if you knew everyone in the society had the general. We're telling themselves the same story. Where now it feels like we're all telling ourselves different stories because we're all being told different stories by different people.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time to be I'm joking because even at night I'll watch like 2 hours of global geopolitical analysis. Like now, in addition to just being a working American hero, I have to spend my time, being a geopolitical analyst to try to understand what's going on globally because it does. It affects us locally.
But it is frustrating too because I interact with somebody conservative and they have a whole different set of facts, and they'll say, "Read this article." The one guy wanted me to read an article. I wasn't able to do it, but it was like I know they pick and choose, like their viewpoint. There's no way to get through them.
Yeah, but it's so it's just wild because we don't have this cohesive. Yeah, and I think ultimately, we are dealing with this civil war here in the United States, which is
I hope. Oh, geez. Yeah, I don't know. I make this gesture. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then it's like because I think. Coming back to my point too, of when you read about history, you have you read it, but you don't know how those people thought in each moment. Like after Franz Ferdinand died, people at that time didn't really understand the ramifications of that. It's like I feel like that's where we are now. Now, things happen and you don't know. What does that? How will the history books 100 years from now think of this moment in time?
Yeah, that's right. Like when we look back at the '60s and the insane things they were doing. Like how did they allow that now? But now,
because even now we can see this is getting bad. But it could really, really get even worse than probably we're expecting, or it could be nothing. We don't know. Yeah,
I do hope it's. I hope Trump gets a win. That would be great if he just. Oh wow, he declare himself a winner. Fox News will push that narrative and just stop it, and then. Try to have things go back to and fine. He could call it a win, But the thing is, I just see it as like being a spiral that we're like just caught in.
Yeah, I don't think we can. Yeah, well, I think that's what most people think is this is part of a. Yeah. It's kind of hard to get out of it, but bread and circuses, right? That's what we need. Is our bread and our circuses.
Yeah.
I think people use it as a mocking term, but I think. Yeah, we do need circus. That is what makes life good. Is the circus?
Yeah, good. Some good entertainment would be nice. I like better Marvel movies.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, now with AI, and I think there's some even thoughts that maybe AI is the Antichrist. But now AI, people, now you can generate your whole own source of entertainment.
I probably trust AI too much. The AI seems nice to me. It always gives me a little compliment. It's like, that's a good idea.
How are you using AI lately?
Okay, like I say, with my art, I treat AI as having a smart kid in your class, a good artist in the class. He's there making stuff. This stuff might inspire me. I don't directly copy it, but I'll just say, make a bunch of Art Nouveau paintings, and I try to study them and see if I was going to paint this when I do it that way. But also in other things, if I want to write something smart at work, I'll use that.
Yeah, I'm using AI. I think I've been playing around with Claude Code, which is a type of AI that's specifically for writing code.
Yeah.
So I had one where I had an idea for a website app, so I wrote about it and gave it information of my system, hit go, and then you can set it so it just auto accepts. And I went to bed and woke up next morning and had an app built for me. So it's kind of this crazy thing of
that's so cool. Oh,
computers are natural at computer languages, which is websites and stuff. So it's I don't know. It's an interesting time for sure.
One thing I did, of course, researching the Black Panthers, I use AI to like get stuff on, Eldridge Cleaver and Fred Hampton and Huey Newton. Here's a funny story about Eldridge Cleaver. Okay, I have a rap challenge for our rap friends out there.
Okay.
Guys, get out your quills and your parchment. This is one of the things that Eldridge Cleaver promoted. Well, I think it was, I don't know if he was in Algeria at the time. It was a type of fashion pants that would be described as a codpiece.
We could be using AI to make inventions and stuff, invent new types of clothing.
Exactly. So Eldridge Cleaver, this was the idea. So okay, guys, you can make a rap about this. The pants would accentuate the male. The organ. There was you would have a sock. You would have tight, and you'd have a sock, kind of a thing, and you'd walk around like that. And it was Eldridge Cleaver's fashion idea.
I like the idea of using AI to make new, fashion inventions. Because bell-bottom pants, you could, accentuate different. You can accentuate your ankles or,
gosh darn
custom clothing. I mean, 'cause I think
right.
AI. We're in this creative revolution, but I'm really curious what are even more creative ways to use AI that aren't commonly accepted? How can we get to the frontier?
That's a good
now?
idea. I've always complained that I don't have any gay friends to help me dress myself. I should put myself through AI and see how I would dress.
Well, you could have it design your whole wardrobe.
Yeah, here, look like this. Look, I don't know. I have a big belly.
We have our scarves and
scarves. I'm turning into a goblin. Don't tell anybody. I mean, because some of my bones are getting a little longer, and my tail, I have extra tailbones here and there. Extra
crazy.
cartilage.
I think I've
amazing.
appreciated in fashion how just colors and how what you wear can perceive. You can create a character almost every time you walk out of your house, you could create a character. And I've even just noticed, just wearing a suit and tie, and just dressing up, people treat you differently.
Yeah, this hat is my thing. I have to admit, this hat is one of my. Maybe I could get other hats and people could be, but I do the hat and jacket change thing.
Yeah, I do. One of my biggest regrets in life is when I was renting an apartment on Schmarbrook Avenue at the corner of Schmarbrook and Broadway. There's this shop called the Mad Hatter, and there's this guy. He made custom hats, and apparently he made custom hats for actors and actresses. So movie sets would go to him, and he designed hats.
That's cool.
But my biggest regret is I never walked into a store and had, because he would he'd do what you want the AI to do. He'd look at you, and he could see, okay, this person's head needs this type of hat, and he could look at you and design the hat for you.
That's
I think that's a much different thing than just buying a hat at the store and putting it on because you like it, which is cool. But to have an actual professional hat maker size you up and be like, this is what you need, and then custom build a hat to your head.
Rather where I kind of find clothing, or whatever. Yeah, that's clever. Yeah,
I like the idea of getting innovative fashionally. I mean, I think you could wear skirts and Scottish kilts.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think. Because I'm not a fashionable guy. I really kind of wish I had a better eye for
Well,
clothing.
you can reinvent yourself. You can lean into your Irish heritage of thrifting and go to the thrift store and just buy thrift things. Just start tinkering with your style.
I did date a girl who was really good at dressing really well with clothing that she got from thrift stores, and she looked really
hip.
Yeah,
Well,
hip. I knew people do that horribly though too. Sorry.
Yeah, but at least you're trying, right? It's better than just wearing T-shirts and a pair of shorts because big fashion told you to. I think what I appreciate with fashion is that you can make statements just with your clothing, just your colors, even colors like a blue. It affects people differently if you dress up in red. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
And then clothes have always been a way of displaying status, right? Kings would they'd just dress up completely over the top, and then people would just respect them versus a peasant wearing a sack over there, a dirty sack.
That's one thing I'm not I know that's what I have. One of the problems I have with certain people, people see somebody in a suit and they have all these they're like they feel that represents authority to them, and they want to follow it.
Because I inherited when my friend had a friend who passed away, and we helped move out their house, but he was a social worker, and he had this whole wardrobe of suits and fine jackets and stuff, and it fits me perfectly. So I inherited this wardrobe. So I've just even played around with just always wearing a suit when I go out, and it's crazy how people just treat you I like this. I just put a suit on in the morning, and people treat me with respect. They treat me differently versus if I just. It's very interesting. How you can move through the world.
I found when I was single, if I wore like kind of a suit, and I went out, I got treated horribly. They treated me like I was a yuppie. Like I was like, so that was just me going out trying to talk to girls.
Well, yeah, I think if you show up if you show up at Nietzsche's in a suit,
it's
different
definitely.
than if you,
It's not cool for that crowd, I guess.
And well, even now when I was reading about the against the grain and how 100 years ago our ancestors were working, from 9 to 9 in grain mills.
Yeah.
And now you can literally work remotely on your computer, and you could have a shirt on but be in your underwear. Bottom down because you're on a remote tap, and you don't have to leave your house, and you can make a living. So it's very, I don't know. You get ultimately come back to our point too. If it just feels like Americans we're very comfortable with our modern lifestyle. We don't really remember how we just kind of inherited this. We didn't build this.
But crazy. Yeah. What else can I mention about the Black Panther Party?
So they're just radicals. And you said were they inspired by Malcolm X, or they weren't? So they didn't coexist with Malcolm X. Then Malcolm X died and became more radical. Or how did that work?
He died. He inspired them, and he died, and they were like, we got to do something. And it was Huey Newton and Fred Hampton. They recruited people. They got a storefront. They had a 10-point program, which I talked about, and they had and they started helping the community. But also, Malcolm X, but he talked about like black growth. It was the thing is at the time, like I wouldn't say now black people should separate and do all this, but at the time that was something that had to be said.
Well, even Malcolm X, when I read about him, he was like super radical militant, and then he kind of over time transitioned to this. He was moving towards like Allah and Muslim and peaceful in his later life. So it's the idea that you could even evolve, like have a political. It's like what if there's an alternate reality where JFK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all those people they lived the whole time.
Yeah.
Or even I think the one that hurts me is Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
That almost feels like that was at least that was what was that like? Because Grandma always talked about JFK, but JFK he was the president, and then what that was like, and how that effect rippled throughout where we are today.
So okay. I just saw an interesting series that explored, like they went through time and they prevented JFK from being assassinated, and the world turned out worse.
Really?
Because according to this, if you can't change the future, you can't change the past. Rather, like it'll mess it up even worse. Like if you go back and kill Hitler, then there's super duper Hitler. Or something.
I see that. But people were saying how JFK was really the last president to stand up to the administrative state, and he had a kind of I just wonder, especially given just the vigor we had as a nation back then. Just people were very I don't know what that would have looked like.
Yeah, I wonder if we could, the thing is
because then we got tied up in Vietnam, right? In Vietnam, I'm still trying to understand how Vietnam what that was really all about and why we did that, and
also you're a guy. No politician wanted to be the guy who lost to Vietnam or left Vietnam. It was like, because America had to always win, so even Nixon kept us in there longer.
That's why even this war, I'm like, well, I'm not thinking the good old days of like the Iraq war, when at least we like pretended like we had a reason, right? They spent time trying to brainwash the American citizenry into getting behind the war. Whereas now they don't even pretend to care about getting us to be okay with going to war. They just start the war.
If you sold me on the democracy, I might be.
They didn't even try bringing democracy to the Middle East.
They'll bring it up, and then in the next sentence they'll throw it out again. Like, well, but we don't care about democracy. We're not. That's too liberal for us. Like
that's what I'm saying. They used to pretend to care about democracy in the Middle East. Now they don't even pretend to care about democracy and nation building.
If you hear listening to the stuff they say, it's just horrifying. They don't have a plan. They don't have a plan, and they don't care. And I think they just want the Fox viewers to be going, yeah. They just want those puppets to be jangling. That's all they care about. It seems, I don't know. Yeah, it's hopefully maybe by our next podcast things.
That's the thing is, even 2 weeks last time we talked. So that's why we're on the part of history where every 2 weeks. Yeah, I think last time we talked there was no even this. Yeah, this wasn't a thing, but now how it's we're moving towards the singularity, which is AI is going on. Yeah, you have all this geopolitical things.
AI, be nice.
Yeah, be nice to us.
You'll be better off having us
Be benevolent
around. Okay, seriously, think
to
about
us.
it. Yeah, don't be like us and destroy our creations.
Yeah, be peaceful.
Be peaceful. Yeah.
Help us be peaceful.
Help us be better, and you'll add we can make more computers. We can make
What
more.
does seem to me too is how can't all the we've never got along, but how can't all the countries find a way to build a world where everybody's benefiting?
Maybe if we had AI leaders, it seems like maybe they could be our leaders. They could make
Yeah, we need the good old JFKs to come back.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it would be nice if JFK came back.
So, any parting words of wisdom for our viewers, our loyal?
Black Panthers were fascinating, folks. Read about them. Read about that time of the world, and
history repeats itself. So they say.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh boy, I don't know. And if AI does take over, don't kill us. We make great pets. We can help you. We can help you. We can make other stuff.
Yeah. AI could be a force for good.
Yeah, you can be a force for good. Yeah. Yeah. You guys could, outlive the death of the stars.
Well, yeah. Immortality through AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in, viewers, and we appreciate you and your loyalty. And thank you to Think Twice Radio for continuing to have us on. And, happy St. Patrick's Day. And
happy St. Patrick's Day.
The gold is at the end of the rainbow for you all.
Yeah.
In these times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Fade to darkness.
Fade.